Hey everybody, Harry here to talk about the latest in the Fulton County investigation, which is a motion to quash the whole thing that Trump filed yesterday, Monday. This is something we're going to see again and again. We're seeing it in part in the kind of saber rattling by the Republican Congress about how they're going to investigate Alvin Bragg. But why and on what authority? Where does the federal government or where does a House of Representatives have authority to look into a local DA? Basically nowhere. And we have the same thing happening in Georgia. You have this very sort of histrionic, screaming to the skies motion to quash everything by Trump that when you look at it comes down to threadbare would be exaggerating. There's just no legal basis at all for this motion to quash. But before going into it a little bit, I just want to predict or confidently, we're just going to see this kind of crap again and again. Any kind of effort to throw anything against the wall to see what sticks and cite fundamental fairness and the like, but no real law. That's half to delay and half maybe to rev up supporters, but is really just legally without merit at all. Okay, so here we go. There's a whole big motion to quash some 50-page motion, and the first leading argument is the Georgia statute authorizing the use of a special purpose grand jury is unconstitutional. Okay, so the whole idea of a special purpose grand jury, which Fani Willis convened for and is well recognized under Georgia law, that's unconstitutional. Why is that? Because it's void for vagueness. We don't really know whether it's civil or criminal, and whether they are able to release the report, etc. Yeah, so that's a due process violation that's been hiding in plain sight, all these years that it's been being used. It's a garbage argument, and it's their actual leading one. Okay, from there, the whole they say you've got to disqualify Fani Willis. So there's a campaign contribution. The fact that she attended a campaign event on behalf of someone who was the opponent, a Democratic opponent of a Republican who now figures in the investigation. Not the greatest look, etc. But we have to disqualify the whole office over that. It's just completely far-fetched and just raw rhetoric. So they say, the public statements of the district attorney's office violate prosecutorial standards and create the appearance of impropriety. But, her public statements have been very careful, really hewed to the requirements of prosecutorial ethics, even if they weren't. It's not, to take a step back, it's not so unusual for some defendants to claim, oh, I'm being selected out or being improperly treated, or it's all political. And the courts routinely reject this where it comes to prosecutors and say, see in court. Unless you can really show like a plot to go after you for political reasons, you're going to have to face charges, and that's where you can try to defend yourself. Then finally, remember our 15-minute PR tour by the four-person Emily Coors, a little bit wacky, true, but somehow it reveals, they say, the grand jury proceeding was tainted by improper influences, incomplete or inaccurate instructions, and unconstitutional inferences. But you actually read it, and it basically says nothing. And recall, she actually wasn't a great look, as I said, but she had every First Amendment right to say what she said, and the only issue is, did she violate instructions? Because they'd been discharged. Did she violate what Judge McBurney said? He preferred them to do, and it doesn't seem as if she did, because she didn't talk about deliberations. But anyway, could that possibly ground some reason to throw out the whole process? No. So they know this is a stone cold loser, and it's not even a very good effort at a stone cold loser, but it's just, trying generally to gin up some kind of momentum or to fan the flames as much as they can for the overall notion that it's a politicized prosecution. And why is that? Basically because it's a local Democratic DA. Now, I don't want to completely trivialize the notion of a elected DA from the other party prosecuting a former president. There's some kind of important issues to consider there. But, we'll be playing those out, I think, as things go forward. But the short answer to that general set of concerns is, are these charges that if they were done by any other defendant, the prosecuting entity would bring them? And it looks pretty clear in both Manhattan and Fulton County that they would. It's pretty serious stuff. Even Manhattan, there's a lot of talking about it these days, but remember, it's possible that it swayed the whole election, the whole hush money deal. But anyway, a series of very grave efforts to totally taint and falsify the Georgia election and take the victory away. That's some serious business. And yes, it's a Democrat bringing it, but really the focus should be, is there any reason to think that it's the political identification that's driving it all? And the way to think about that is, what would it be like if just a generic individual did these same offenses? I think it's pretty clear that they are grave enough that a DA would go after them, and aggressively, and that they should. All right, but anyway, motion to quash, total, just garbage, kind of rhetoric without any real law. But there'll be a hearing on it. There'll be some, it'll cause a little bit of delay and the like, and it's also much more where that came from. And at least if it bears focusing on and discussing, I'll be back here to discuss it with you. Until then, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.